Hi everyone, I hope all of you are doing fine. And I have a plan for discuss the tax benefit or tax exemption for the foreigner or for the Danish people who are living in Denmark. So if you work and live in Denmark, there are some way you can get some tax exemption of some certain amount of money. That's I going to be discuss that, and this is one of the important and crucial topics to know, and then you can make a decision on that. So, and also beside, I have a one disclaimer for that. I'm just doing for it is the learning purpose. So if you make any decision based on my information, you have to make a due diligence, or you have to make the research on that before make a decision. So this is only for learning purpose. Beside, one more thing, and I noticed that so many people actually they are following, listening the YouTube video, but they are not subscribed. Is how I know that, because YouTube have there's some kind of analytical data. The saying more than 72% people they are not subscribing. They are just be following the channel. So please do my favor. If you subscribe it, the time I'm spending is worthwhile for me. And beside, also one more thing, you getting or you seeing all the video is raw. I'm not editing, I'm not make some kind of shiny and lightning things, so I don't have a time for do that. So I'm actually full time as academia, so and I'm busy on that, prepare the lecture, grading, marking, and beside the some kind of research I'm doing for making this video. It's a quite there is still the built up position, so it will be great help if you subscribe and listen this video. I'm pretty sure it will be helpful for you if you follow, and if you follow the whole video and listen, then you can have general idea, then you can make a decision on that. And also what I will be describe here, most of the information I can try to be disclose in the description. Also you can read one more time, then you can be little bit research on, then you can find out. Okay, jumping to the point. So our topics today is the tax, how to and how to pay the right tax in a legal way, and how to and get some tax exemption means you don't have to pay the tax under following some condition. That's the whole purpose. So I go by one, I make a little bit short note here. And first one is the Denmark special expert tax system, or like Richardson tax system. Actually, I have one more video on this topic, so you can follow that also, but I can describe here. If you but you have to be fill up some certain requirement. So if you be eligible to get a special expert tax system, you only pay the tax for 32.84%. How is come up? 25.7% is a flat income tax, and 8% is a labor market contribution. It's called AM-bidrag. Actually 8% is mandatory for everyone. So if any general people who are living, if you working through the Danish system, you have to pay, about to 50 to 60% tax. So just compare that. So it's compared to the 50 to 60%, you only have to pay 32.84% for the working in Denmark as an expert tax system. But there are some requirement you have to fulfill. That is not like everyone will be in the same scheme. What is the requirement? You have to recruit it from the abroad. It not be come up in Denmark and get into the Denmark and then get a job. You're not going to be eligible. This is the one. And you not be as a tech resident during the 10 years. What does mean? You in the last 10 years you not be living in Denmark more than 183 days. Actually 183 days considered as a tax resident. If you live in Denmark more than 80 days, of course there are other rules, but I'm not going to details on that for that. But in the last previous 10 years, you're not going to be any time live as a tax resident in Denmark. If you live, you're not going to eligible to get this scheme or get this lower tax system. And also you have to work for a Danish employer, so of course you hire from the outside, and you will be hired through any Danish company. And there are also salary requirement for every year is changed. For the 2026 is a per month 65,400 per month before tax. So this is the base salary, gross salary is called as a gross salary. So you every month you have to make 64,400 beside the other requirement. Then you can get this scheme, eligible to get this much of tax 27%. But, and this is only not forever, this is only for 84 months, it means 7 years. So first 7 years under this expert tax system, you will be only pay 32.84%. Actually it's actually 27%. I mean, if you can 8%, everyone have to pay. So you can, this is actually the huge opportunity if you be eligible, or if you maintain this condition. Okay, go to the next one, ordinary tax system. For example, you are not eligible for expert tax system. Of course, you are in Denmark, you working, so you also have to pay tax. So this is considered as ordinary tax system. So that's also, at that time you have to pay tax for your income, 37 to 55%. Okay, based on the ordinary tax system, actually actually related to the income tax or salary. I have one more video on that, salary breakdown step by step for the foreigner in Denmark. Please watch it. I hope it will be helpful for you to understand that. Okay, so Denmark tax residing in worldwide income also. So if you living in the, if you have any other income also, you have to be putting all this in the preliminary tax statement. Then it's also going to be considered as a tax. So this is the ordinary tax system, tax from different source of income, not only the salary, for your active income, for your passive income, from the real estate, for your investment, for your any kind of other, so for your business, all this ordinary tax system will be calculated based on for your statement, for your the tax card. Okay, number 3, of course you have to pay. At the same time, you have some deduction available for the foreigner. Most of the foreigner actually don't know how to use that, the tax exemption amount in there, only know, and it's actually automatically use the tax for the salary. Every people have a 40,000 tax exemption for their salary. That's actually, if you use that, if you don't mention, actually the state authority that can accumulate at the year end, and then it will be, you can get that. But there are also other things, but you have to be mentioned that. What is that? It means okay, this is the decision. The expert scheme, they're not eligible to get that. This is only for ordinary taxpayer who are living and working, not like the eligible who already have a expert tax system. They're not going to get it. What is that? Commuting distance, means transport to work. I already have a information. I already mentioned the salary breakdown. Please follow that. Every step I describe clearly, but I'm just be now underlying the topics, the area. And pension contribution also, you getting some you don't have to pay tax right now, it's a tax deductible. You can also, I have another also pension related video, please check it out that. And interest expense deduction, 26% if you have any interest from mortgage, any kind of for your car, for your house, you getting the tax exemption for 26%. It's also there are some amount limitation. Then if you'll be 27 or maybe the 26%. Also double tax levies under the tax treaties. What does mean if you in Denmark have some kind of TT agreement, India also, from Bangladesh also, Pakistan also, some kind of TT, so you don't have to pay double tax. But the main thing, you have to be defined by the tax resident. If you live in Denmark more than 183 days, you will be considered as a tax payee in Denmark. But at the same time, you don't have to pay the tax in India for your income. So this is the TT agreement also huge, but I have a plan to make a video on that also. So I'm not going to be details on that. And household service deduction, also some cases household service. For example, if you gardening, for you cleaning, you're calling the, but this kind of, I have a list of that. I make it a list also. Okay, so there are some kind of cost you can get exemption, but not only the product, only get the exemption from the cost if you calling any expert or any cleaning man. This kind of cost you can upload as an invoice and you get some exemption, maybe the 27% exemption for that. So in that case, you don't have to pay, you getting the exemption. It's a household service deduction in some cases also. But remember, they're not material. You buying only the people. If you hire any people, for the gardening, for the cleaning house, window washing, at that time you get some exemption on that. But there are certain amount also on that. Okay, the next one is double taxation. Okay, and also if you have TT, you don't have to pay 2 times tax in India and as example in India, if you from India or if you from Bangladesh also have agreement. So many country avoid the being taxed twice at the same income. So if you have a one income and the income, if you pay tax in Denmark, you don't have to pay tax in India. But if you pay tax in India, you don't have to pay tax. Yes, but you have to decide that which country's tax resident you are. Tax resident means you are living more than 183 days. There are also other factors to consider, your integrity or your how much the tangible asset, family, child, all these things, also attachment you have, all these things also come up for discussion. But I'm not going to details on that. I will be go every topics later on. So then, and also like rental income abroad, if you pay somewhere, you don't have to pay. Somewhere means India, you have to have some increment, investment, dividend, pension, so all these things, if you're paying tax in Denmark, you don't have to pay to the particular country if you have any other country. But if you pay some other country, you don't have to pay, but you have to, it's depend on the tax treaty. This is also important note that Denmark usually tax worldwide income once you become a tax resident. So if you be tax resident in Denmark, if you have other income, for example, if you have any property or if you inheritedly you get some asset, if you declare in the tax authority here, you have to pay tax on that. So this is one of the important point also. And foreign bank account, investment open must be declared. If you have any other investment, what actually not the Danish authority knows. Also, expat is in the stick deadline, typically 6 months of employment. Oh, one more thing, expat tax system. If you be in Denmark within the 6 month, you have to apply to get this kind of tax, special tax card. So this you can also remember that. And I have a list of tax TT. Actually, I'm not going to cover in that cover here. So this is the tax exemption. Also, if you have any house to rent it through the Airbnb, you have a certain amount of tax exemption. So this is also source of income, but certain amount of money, you don't have to pay tax. If you have any car to rent it, private car, if you rent it, you can also have some amount. Is I know if I it depend on the which kind of car, electric car maybe 30,000, or electric or plug-in hybrid car, they are also 30,000. Also, like conventional car is 12,500, you don't have to pay tax on that. So this is all are the tax objection. Commonly every the person, every people can and eligible to get that. So I recommend to you, please, if you think if you know something, or if create any value or impact in your knowledge, please subscribe the challenge, and then I will be encouraged to make that. I already mentioned to you, I don't have a time to editing, and this is completely raw. It's completely the information I know and I following and try to be share with the audience. I have that. Thank you so much. Yeah, please. Yeah, carry on. Yeah, thank you. Bye.